Well, it's a beautiful, beautiful sunny day in the south of England. And today, me and Mr. Miro, he's hiding at the moment, are going to do some drawing for you. Today we are working on the Worilips book, as we have been doing this week. Today is the vultures, so it's going to be quite a fun day. What do you think, Mr. Miro? What do you think? What do you think? So let's do some drawing. Well, hello and welcome back. My name's Kieron Seamons, and we are throwing pens around. We're going to get into doing some drawing today, and we are going to start off with some vultures. These are kind of like demon vultures that appear in this Worilips story, and they're kind of unpleasant, but they're kind of a bit goofy at the same time. So I was trying to get a good balance there of spooky and scary and rather silly at the same time. Which is always a nice balance, I think. Goofy, scary. So how are you today? How are you feeling? And hopefully you have got a pen and paper and you're drawing along with me, just to make the day feel beautiful. It's actually a beautiful day out there today. It's got some lovely sunshine after a huge storm last night. And the wonderful thing about having a storm is that it doesn't bother Mr. Miro at all. He's just sleeping through it. It's just like, well, what's all that noise? Okay, I'll have a sleep. Which is always delight. The delight that some dogs are terrified of a storm, and Mr. Miro is just not bothered. So I'm very, 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 very happy to see that. I know that I've got friends whose dogs go crazy when there's a storm. And Mr. Miro just snored all the way through it. He is a classic snorer, that's for sure. Right, now I need to kind of remind myself a little bit about the character. There was one that I drew there a while back, so I'll kind of throw it over there to give myself some consistency. And these are kind of like dark angels, if you want to put a tag onto them. And obviously the Worilips stories are really about ghosts and such paranormal type things. So there is a lot of spookiness about it. There's lots of kind of well, in fact, on this time I've kind of brought in a few ghosts and a few kind of angels and things like that as well, to kind of, which has been really quite pleasant to kind of bring in the other side of ghosts and demons, and in this case angels. So, and of course I don't want to give too much away, but these are kind of angels. Kind of. I feel like with this book I've been saying kind of a lot, you know. They're kind of bad guys. They're kind of angels, you know. And it's quite a... I've really enjoyed doing these books. They're the type of book that you really would kind of like to do a lot of. You know, they've got that element of everything. It's got all the dramas in there. It's got love in there. It's got anger in there. It's got demons and angels, and so it's kind of it's kind of got a bit of everything in it, which is really nice. In fact, I think even in book one we had a witch. Not a very successful witch, but we had a witch. I think she came to save his love. And most of the book is really about Norman's love. And it kind of gets wrapped up in demons and angels and ghosts and such like. So it's quite a wonderful book. I'm very proud of it. In fact, even the cover of the book I really enjoyed doing. I loved that kind of bright orange that it had. There we are. It had this lovely bright orange cover to it. And I don't know, it just kind of really worked. It just clicked with me. And it's always nice when you kind of hit that correct color for your book. And book covers can be quite difficult because there's certain things you want to do, but you've also got to think about it in a way of kind of attracting people. And I had a very big battle in my mind about, you know, I kind of say in the book that Norman kind of lives in a black and white world, and that kind of helped to build this kind of environment for all the ghosts and such like. And I felt like it was a really beautiful thing. But at the same time, I really wanted the cover to have some kind of color to it. And I did do a version which I think ended up in the bin of a similar version of the cover that exists now. But at the time I was trying to paint it in color. And yes, it probably would have been more attractive to a buyer, but at the same time it took away so much from the story. It really didn't fit. It didn't fit at all. And I went back. I had to go back and find the original source of that kind of black and white world. And it worked. It worked marvelously well. I'm very, very pleased with it. So I've got to get an arm in here somewhere. And they have these kind of like spooky kind of claw hands that are kind of like this. And I kind of liked drawing those kind of gnarly kind of fingers. Just checking where Mr. Miro was. I think he's out in the garden sunbathing, I think. So, today we are, of course, using Indian ink. It does work for me. I do love it. I do love that whole kind of feeling of the ink. It builds a lot of kind of looseness about the drawings. I'm very kind of taken by the kind of looseness of the ink, and I find the more I try and draw in other styles, and I find like I just keep coming back to drawing in ink. You know, quite often I'll do an illustration for a book, and I'll come back to, maybe I should draw it in ink. Let me see what it looks like in ink. And that's, I don't know if it's a good thing or it's a bad thing, but it is becoming more and more of my kind of style, if you were. So I'm kind of getting to the point where I'll have an idea and I'll start drawing it away. I'll draw it in pencil or draw it in a different type of pen. And then I've just kind of got this curiousness about what would that type of character look like drawn in ink. Would it be nice? You know, shall I try? Did somebody say addicted? Yeah, maybe I am kind of getting a little bit addicted to the beauty of ink. The whole marvelous approach of ink is really quite beautiful. And it also kind of makes you accept a lot of your kind of mistakes and your blotches and your blobs and your whatever. It kind of just seems to all be okay, which is so beautiful. Now I don't know how much of this drawing we will get finished into a video, as I know that sometimes when the videos are long, they're quite difficult for people to watch. Though I have had people request that the videos are longer, but I do find that, like, if I put up a 30 seconds clip, it gets it gets more love than the full drawing does. I guess that's just like the modern mind, I guess, that people want to see something quick and fast and entertaining, you know. I'm not so keen on all that. But I do get a lot of new followers for the simple fact that they have seen a 30 seconds clip. So, you know, you can't completely turn it away. Though I wouldn't really say that it's a good thing. I think a lot of people will start to think that drawings take 30 seconds. You know, some illustrations can take days, you know. They really can take a long time to, you know, like some of these illustrations I've done and I've put on the side, and then, you know, I will constantly keep looking at it and thinking, well, it should have been darker around the eyes, or I should have done this lighter, or I should have, you know, it's a constant kind of work in progress type of feeling. But then I used to do that a lot with oil paints. When you do an oil painting, you're constantly looking at it and thinking, "What should I have? Should I do?" You know, you're constantly tinkering with it. I don't think tinkering is a technical word, but you do tinker with it. You do kind of constantly fiddle with it. So for some strange reason I gave these kind of vulture angels kind of like a furry body. Not quite sure where that idea came from. But it does give it a nice kind of texture to it. And there's a second one here. There's a second. There's a second vulture. And I do deliberately try to keep my line work a bit kind of wibbly wobbly. There's another technical word for you. Wibbly wobbly. my drawing style is wibbly wobbly. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me again. I think it's because the sun is directly in front of me. Very nice. And they're going to be standing behind Norman. They come to visit him. They come to advise him, warn him, and that takes place in the park. So I wanted him to be kind of sitting on a park bench as they approach, as they kind of sneak up behind him. And I kind of wanted their character to be very much kind of like that they were constantly kind of arguing with each other. That they were constantly kind of, you know, one is constantly thinking that he's the leader, that he is above the other. And then the other is constantly coming up with ideas that, well, maybe that's a good idea. Okay, we'll use it this once. You know, that type of thing, you know. So that they are kind of like dark and spooky characters, but at the same time they're not exactly very clever. And it worked very well, or I feel like it worked. Now the next process really is about finishing the illustrations, and then a quick read through while I'm putting the book together with all the illustrations, and then seeing where it can be improved. So It is a very long process. Yes, it is. It is a very, very, very long process. Making a book can be a very big challenge. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot to undertake for anybody in any writing style. It's very, very, very complicated. It's very difficult. And I think I've done about, I don't know, must be like 300 books already by now. Or something close to that. And for all of the people that have given me kind of ink donations, they have given me money into my PayPal. I love you all very much. Very much appreciated. This art channel is not supported in any way by any companies or anything. It is just you and me. So donations and support is greatly, greatly appreciated. Keeps the ink flowing. And as you can see, I go through a lot of ink. Every day I go through so much ink. But in this style of drawing, you will go through a lot of ink. It's just inevitable, really. You will definitely be going through a lot of ink. Just trying to darken up the edges a little bit there. It's like a little bit more blackness to them. And it helps define the character a little bit clearer. They kind of remind me a little bit of like the Skeksis or whatever they were called in the that kind of Muppet movie with. And thank you for all the comments as well. I do very much appreciate your comments. I do love getting your comments. I do sit there overnight and read through comments on all the platforms, especially on YouTube, because I think YouTube's kind of like more of a kind of an environment type. You know, it's more of a kind of community type thing. I find that a lot of the Facebook things are kind of, well, I do kind of feel like Facebook is kind of like fading away anyway. I don't think it's so popular anymore. But I think a lot of those type of platforms are getting very much to the point of it's got to be quick, it's got to be fast, it's got to be, you know. So a lot of these kind of like 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 20 seconds video clips are kind of like where people are kind of concentrating their time. So a lot of these bigger videos like this don't really get much time. People are just like, I guess they're all too busy, I guess. And that is Norman sitting on his park bench. And he is just realized these creatures are behind him. And he's just kind of into a little bit of panic. What am I going to do? What should I do? Lovely. And I should try and add one of his sandwiches, because Norman always kind of brings a sandwich with him to the park. I kind of see it's like, for him, it's almost like an escape, you know, to go to this park and to kind of relax his mind and breathe some fresh air and whatever, you know. And I feel like it's quite a beautiful idea, really. But I kind of feel like Norman has kind of developed as a character quite well in this book also. I do feel like he's opened up a lot. I think he's become a little bit braver in places. And I kind of feel like it's been a really lovely progression for him from book 1 to book 2. And that's always nice to be able to say that about a character, that they have that potential to be able to grow, you know. As you write the stories, there's potential for characters to grow and become more. And I feel really pleased with the way that Norman has developed, in the way that he has become a slightly stronger, I guess, in a way, you know. I don't really want to say he's a strong character, because that would kind of be a little bit misleading, but I do feel he's become a little bit stronger in his decisions and stronger in his will. And I feel like that really, really does help him, especially in some of the situations in book 2, because book 2 really pushes Norman kind of to the edge in a strange way, you know. It's like things kind of get a little bit out of hand. Beautifully out of hand, I should say. And it also answers a lot of questions that people were asking about book 1. There was a lot of questions in there saying, so now what happens with... And that was kind of part of the whole reason of putting pen to paper to actually do a second book. You know, you start asking yourself those kind of questions. Well, what would Norman do? You know, if. What would Norman do if? You know? And there's Norman sitting there, lovely. Terribly sorry this video is quite a long one today. But do let me know what you feel. If you do, is it too long for you? Is it too long for you to kind of... I mean, everybody has busy lives these days, so, you know, it's kind of like expecting a lot from people, and I do understand that. I do. What a lovely feeling, though, you know, that Norman is kind of like just kind of sitting there, and these two creatures come up behind him, you know, and he's kind of like frozen in that plow. What do I do? Do I run? Do I give up? Do I pretend that I'm not here? That's probably a very, very Norman answer, you know. Could I just pretend I'm a tree or something, you know? I could imagine Norman saying something like that. He's tucking his feet in there. Oh. Lovely. And now I'm trying to get this park bench in here. I love the idea of him sitting on a park bench. And it's an unusual habit. I do see people in the park, where when I go to the park, I see people sitting on the park bench. I've never sat on a park bench, I don't think. Though I would imagine that it's a rather beautiful experience. I would imagine it's quite a relaxing thing. In fact, we've recently put up a park bench for a friend of mine who died, and his name was Fred, and we put up a plaque on a park bench for him in memory of a lovely man. And a lot of people came out to say goodbye to him, put flowers on the bench and such. It was very, 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 very touching. So he's sitting on Fred's bench. Okay. So I would love to know where everybody is from. I would love to know some information about you. Did you actually watch the whole video? Do you actually watch all of these videos, these long drawing videos? Do you actually watch the whole thing? I'm really curious to know what appeals to you. Do the shorter videos appeal to you? Do the longer videos appeal to you? I usually quite like the longer videos. I like to, if I'm watching somebody drawing something or painting something, I do quite like the longer videos. I do like to kind of get myself a coffee or something, or a cup of tea, and sit and enjoy the whole experience, the whole environment of it. You know, I do find that sometimes the shorter ones kind of leave me cold a little bit, you know. It's kind of like, let's get a sandwich in there. I find that sometimes the shorter videos kind of leave you a little bit kind of cold, I think. You know, like you're kind of left wanting more. And I guess that's part of the point. I guess people, but you know, I find sometimes if it's a very short video, I feel like you haven't given me enough. You know. So I do. I really enjoy my longer videos. That's my approach. If the camera stays awake and films it all, I'm very, very happy with it. And this is really quite a beautiful part in the story. It really is it's a lovely kind of part of kind of him reflecting on everything that's happened recently, everything that's been going on, and how is he going to deal with it? You know, there's certain things that are starting to happen now that are actually really making him think. And certain characters are giving him advice, and it's making him confused. It's making him confused, and it's making him think about certain characters. Are you who you say you are? You know. And we you know, we've all kind of got that about people. That sometimes we kind of do think about people who say they are something and end up not to be that. So it is really quite a thoughtful part. A really quite a beautiful part of the story where Norman is really left to work things out. I love writing books. I love illustrating books. I think the only thing is that it takes, in the modern time, it actually takes a long time to kind of illustrate a whole book. It takes a long time to write a whole book. But I guess that also makes it worthwhile, you know. Makes it worth reading. Something that you've spent months of your life developing. That's come up really nicely, hasn't it? That has really come up really quite beautiful. And that is Norman sitting on the park bench, thinking about life, as we all do, questioning life. I've got into such a habit of signing the drawings now that even with the illustrated books, I kind of feel like I automatically do it without thinking. But that's easy to remove if I feel it needs to. So, Norman and Norman and the vulture beasts, the vulture angels that have come to visit him. Just fill those in a little bit more. Two lovely characters, I think. I'll fade them up from the darkness behind the bench. Lovely. Really pleased with that. Really pleased with that. But what do you think? What do you think about today's drawing? That is Norman sitting in the park. And I feel it's lovely. I feel it really captures his imagination, and it captures the whole atmosphere of this book and this story. I feel it's really beautiful. I might just darken up that kind of beak. Lovely. So, that is today's drawing. What did you think? What do you feel? I would love to know. Norman, sitting in the park bench. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm very pleased with that. Very pleased with that. It captures the whole feeling. So, thank you very much for being here. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for all the donations. And I will see you back here again so quick. See ya.